Hey guys, Jose Fernandez here. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'll be drawing Spider-Man and we'll be showing you the process from penciling to inking and finally watercolors, so stay tuned. If you'd like to see my future art videos, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified every time a new video is up. Thanks! Okay, so what I'm sketching over right now is some blue light lines that I printed out on watercolor paper, and the reason why I do this is because I really dislike the rough texture of watercolor paper to sketch on. It's just a little too rough for me, so I basically draw digitally the layout, the pencils, and then I printed it out on watercolor paper and then ink it after that. And what I'm using right now is a Zebra brush pen, and I really like this pen because I can get a lot of line variety with it, but it's still pretty firm at the same time. It's one of my favorite tools to use, and it just makes the process a lot faster, and I still get these organic lines like I like. Also, I'm sure you're asking yourself, don't the blue lines show up in the final piece? And honestly, they really don't. It's very hard to see them. I print them out in about, I want to say like maybe 20% opacity or less, and by the end, after you put the watercolors and the ink over it, you really can't see it. I tried to make the outline or the layout or the sketch as pretty much as final as I can be, so that way there's not a whole bunch of random sketch lines everywhere, and that way whenever I go over with the black lines, they really won't show unless you, like I said, you have some lines just coming out from all over the place. Now, one of the things I always try to remember with Spider-Man is to make sure to make the webbing on his suit look like it's wrapping around the form. And so what I do with the sketch is I always draw a light line wrapping around his legs, his arms in a way that it looks three-dimensional, and then I use that as a guide to do the webbing. And now I'm using brush and ink, and the ink that I'm using is a Rapidograph Ultra Draw ink. It's an awesome ink that is very dark, but at the same time is very fluid. Usually dark inks are pretty thick, and it's kind of hard to use. It's hard to use with a brush, at least if you want really thin lines or really fluid lines. So I really appreciate just how dark this ink is and how fluid it is as well. And the brush that I'm using is a Raphael Kolinsky Sable. I believe it's Raphael 8404, and it's an awesome brush that has a really great snap to it and helps you get those really nice fine lines, while at the same time you're able to get some nice thick chunky lines, and the control on them it's just really great. Alright, and so I think the inking stage is pretty much done here, and what I'll be doing now is erasing some of those lines that I did initially with my Coca-Cola eraser that I got from Japan, and it smells just like Coca-Cola. It's pretty crazy just how close it smells to Coke. Okay, so now that we're all done erasing all the lines under the inks, we're gonna get ready to watercolor this piece. So the watercolors that I'll be using today will be a combination of the Holbein watercolor set. It's an 18 color set, and the Winsor Newton Cotman color set, and that one's a 24 color set. I really love these watercolors just because I guess it was my first higher grade watercolors, and some would argue these are not the highest grade or some of the best watercolors, but I went from these student grade non-name brand watercolors, and I was doing watercolors on printed paper instead of watercolor paper. So these watercolors are amazing to me till this day. Now I'm sure there's some artists watching these videos that, you know, you guys have your favorite watercolor brand or paint brand. Please let me know down in the comments below what your favorite paint brand or watercolor brand is. I want to expand and try some more, and especially on this channel I want to try to review some watercolors eventually, something other than the Winsor Newton Cotman. and just see what else is out there. But as of right now, I really do enjoy these watercolors, and I highly recommend them for anybody that wants to learn how to do watercolors, especially someone who doesn't want to spend too much money. Even though they are Winsor Newton and they're higher grade, they're still cheaper because they're the Cotman grade, and I still have a blast with them. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about what I'm doing right now. I am basically shading with purple. Instead of using like a black or a gray, I like to use purple because I feel like it gives the piece a little bit more life. Usually grays, unless they're like cool grays or warm grays, but even then, like I just feel like they kind of dull the colors a little bit. They definitely have their place, but I'm just a sucker for using purple on shadows, and you're probably gonna see that in a lot of future art videos, and you're probably gonna get sick of me using purple, but that's just one of my favorite colors to use, especially for watercolors. And then right now I am doing a watercolor explosion in the background. Pretty much, I love doing explosions. I don't know why, I just think they look dynamic, they look cool, they always add like a coolness factor, and watercolors just have this awesome look to them whenever you do explosions like this, just because they're so random. I like to use them really wet, so whenever they're mixing with the other colors and I just let them dry randomly, it just has a really cool look to them. Oh, and if you're wanting to try any of these tools for yourself, I'll put a few links in the description. I have things like the watercolor paper I use, and even my water cup if you're interested. If you have any questions about my tools, let me know. Alright, so now I'm starting to wrap this piece up a bit. I'm just adding a few finishing touches here and there, adding shadows in different little places to add more depth. And what I'm gonna do next too is just something I do for fun, is just add a little bit of splatter, especially on the explosion. It just adds more dynamicness to it, if that's even a word. But yeah, I love doing things like that, just adding more to the random nature of watercolors. And you may have seen me use a napkin to dab certain parts of the watercolor. That's just if I had too much water, I make sure to dry it away, because if not, you'll see like a really weird splooshy thing. Alright, and so finally, I'm just adding a few more finishing touches with this white gel pen. It's an awesome pen, and I just love adding details with it. Well guys, this is my first video. I hope y'all learned a thing or two. Y'all can expect another video next week, so keep a lookout for that. Please let me know how I did and what kinds of things you'd like to see on this channel. Until next time, bye.